Hey folks, got a bit of a rant here going on, and we all know that the folks at Nintendo like to do things a little bit differently. They march to a different beat under their own drum. We've seen this, back in the days of the Wii, the Wii U, the 3DS, and for the most part, they've had relative success. But in recent events, if you haven't seen, I had a video a few months ago where I pretty much stopped playing my Nintendo Switch simply off the fact that I couldn't save my games off the system. Um, when you save a game, it's saved directly onto the machine itself. You can't have a portable offline save, which, in my opinion, is absolutely ridiculous since we've had some type of portable save system since the mid 90s, over 20 years ago, with the place. I mean, even before then, in the 80s, you could have a save card, now that I remember. But this became really prevalent in the 90s where, it was required with the PlayStation, the Saturn, Dreamcast, and so on and so forth to have a memory card. And one of the, selling points of those memory cards was that, hey, you can take this memory card, go to a friend's house, simply stick it in, and you can start right off where you left. That basically alleviated, them from having any type of hard drive system, because at the time hard drive systems were relatively expensive. So of course they would charge us through the nose for these little 8 megabyte memory cards, and if I remember, I mean they were like $30+ back in the 90s for 8 megs. Okay. So anyway, like I said, we've had offline saves for years now, but Nintendo has decided with the Nintendo Switch, a portable system that can be easily stolen, broken, anything can happen to it. Let's say I'm going to fly and I put it through the X-ray machine. Who knows what may happen to it? Granted, chances are nothing's going to happen to it, and I've done it before with other systems. But anyway, having a portable system, anything can happen. You can ask my family here. My youngest son has gone through more DSs over the past few years simply because of general use. He's hard on technology. He's gotten better. Anyway, moving on. Fact remains, with portable systems, your chances of breaking the system is even greater. And now Nintendo is saying, okay, well, even though you have a system that can be broken easier, and we're going to put games on the system where you can dedicate hundreds of hours, we're going to make it to where those saves may be recoverable if you happen to go to another system. So anyway, that was my problem with the Switch, to the point where, like I said, I don't play it anymore. I look at it from time to time, I turn it on, I do a quick upgrade, and then I sigh and I turn it back off. Then Nintendo, over the summer, said, okay guys, we're hearing what you're saying. And other than, fixing this glaring problem that should have been addressed way before this item, the system was released, we're gonna do something that not only benefits you as a customer, quote unquote, but it's gonna make us a couple of dollars in the process. We're going to announce the Nintendo Online service coming out in September, which last I looked, it's September and it's still not out yet. So maybe in the next couple of weeks. And one of the features, with online play and all that other kind of stuff, is we're going to allow online saves to the cloud. Okay? For a low annual fee. I think it's like $20 for a person, or for a whole family, $35. Not bad at all. Okay? So, you can save your games up to the cloud. And the Nintendo fans out there went, well, that's not kind of what I was looking for, but you know what? I'll take what I can get. Because, I'm still playing my Switch. Not me, but the Nintendo fanboys out there. And I'm dedicating hundreds of hours to Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and whatever else is out there. You have, I think, Ys 8. And they're getting more and more games all the time. They're getting Diablo 3 in a couple of months. I mean, we've seen over the past couple of weeks that they're getting a lot of games. They were supposed to have a Nintendo Direct this week, but due to the events, an earthquake out there has been postponed. Prayers are out there who were affected by the earthquake. Moving on. So, everybody was, like I said, I won't say happy, joy, but they decided, hey, we'll take what we can get. But lo and behold, we've come to a little bit of news in the past week that is telling us Nintendo has decided to screw all that again. And these are one of those things where I just don't understand how anybody in a corporate meeting room would allow this to happen. Because in any realm of customer service, this should have hit every executive, director, manager, peon, janitor, square in the gut at Nintendo headquarters, where somebody should have raised their hand and said, this is wrong. This is unacceptable. So what is this new news? It's been announced that even though the Nintendo Online service coming out in the next couple of weeks, where you're supposed to be able to save games online to the cloud, that certain games will not support it. Now, I don't know if this was a design flaw when the companies made the game. I highly doubt that. But it's sounding more like some of the games can simply opt out of online saves. So let that sink in for a second. You have a developer or Nintendo who gave that option saying, okay, our customer base carrying a very portable, easily destroyable item, in case something happens to that Switch, we want to remove the ability of that person to transfer their save games to another system. And even worse, this is something that just about any console has been able to do for the past 10 plus years. I mean, the PS3 has been able to do it. I don't remember the 360, but I think you could. Because Lord knows we remember that system didn't break every 5 minutes. If you can't tell, I'm winking my eye here. I know. But then, the Xbox One can do it, the PS4 and the PS4 Pro. Granted, everybody that had a PS4 that's upgraded to a PS4 Pro, all they did was transfer their stuff over. Not very hard at all. It takes a few minutes, but it's easily done. Those that had an Xbox One S or Xbox One and moved to an Xbox One S to an Xbox One X has been able to move all their stuff over relatively quickly. This is not new technology, folks. This is something that's been around for years. So Nintendo didn't have to recreate the wheel here for the Nintendo Switch for the online service. Something that should have been on the Switch anyway from the damn beginning. Anyway, so now certain games are not going to support online saves to the cloud. And from my understanding, some of the ones that have popped up are NBA 2K19. Now, I don't play that game. I'm a huge fan of basketball, but I've seen the grinding required to play that game, and that's just not for me. But that's insane. I've seen guys play for hours and hours on YouTube all day long just to get to level 99 or whatever. You're going to tell me you're going to have some guy playing for hours and hours and he can lose all of his data in seconds on a whim? Another game, from my understanding, is the upcoming Dark Souls Remastered. Now, if you haven't played Dark Souls yet, I mean, what are you waiting for? But anyway, another game that can take hours and hours to play. But one of the biggest titles coming up is the Let's Go Pikachu Pokemon game coming out in November. Now that right there is just killing me. Now, I'm not going to play the game, but I will admit I do partake in the Pokemon Go craze. My whole family plays it, and we have spent several hours playing that game. And when I say several hours, hell, just the other day we were out in my area doing raid battles. And then on community days, we're out there trying to catch the shiny versions of whatever. When I say several hours, I would have to admit that the hours dedicated to Pokemon Go will probably hit easily over 100 hours over the past few years of playing. And I'm not a dedicated Pokemon Go player. In fact, a few of my friends tease me because, if something's going on, I'm usually the last one to know, and I don't have all the Pokemon. But even I can say I've dedicated over 100 hours to it. And when my phone breaks, which it does just about every year, because I have a cheap phone, I grab another phone, I download Pokemon Go, I put in my information, and guess what? My information pops up. That's how easy it is. But for some reason, the folks at Nintendo doesn't want this to happen on the Switch. Now, I want to say, let's play devil's advocate and say, okay, maybe Nintendo doesn't want to support, or do online saves, or because, there's so much data. Well, I easily debunked that. Save data has always been incredibly small. I'm looking at my PS4 right now, and I went to my system storage, and I looked at all my saved data for all the games and all the applications that I have on my PS4. And guess how much storage space it takes? 3.5 gigs. Okay? And when I delve deeper into it, most of my games are taking barely megs of space. And I'm talking Uncharted, Tomb Raider, Mortal Kombat, Injustice. Some of these games are taking, maybe 80 megs or 90 megs, but some of them are just as small as 5 or 7. Uncharted 4 was really small. I think it was like 10 megs of save data. Let that sink in for a second. This is not the 80s where if you are from that generation like I was, storage space was very hard to come by. We had a floppy disk. What was that, 1.25 meg? And I'm talking the big 5 1/4. The ones that, you barely looked at and it crinkled and it was corrupted. And then we moved up to the 3.5 that carried, just a couple of megs. Raise your hand out there if you remember those days. And then we moved to the hard drive space, with PCs in the late 80s, early 90s, where getting 100 meg was, just shy of $1,000. And then one day somebody came out with a gig hard drive, and people shouted out, "Oh, you'll never fill that up." But even then, those things were expensive. Now, hell, your kid going, if you have kids going to school, half the time they required a thumb drive, a 4 gig thumb drive that you can buy at Walmart for $5. 4 gigs. So 4 gigs thumb drive can carry all my save data for less than $5. So we know online storage is relatively cheap. They could probably save all the saves of all the Switch users for really cheap. Hell, I just looked at the Best Buy ad for, I could buy 8 terabytes for less than $200. Hell, buy 10 of those, and that's probably enough and for to save everybody's saves with plenty of room to spare. And I spent $2,000. I really don't know, but I'm just. So we know the cost is easily recouped if everybody's paying the online service. This makes no sense. Nintendo, you have to do better by your people here. You have dedicated fans. You've been around since forever. You have one of, or if not several of the most popular IPs in the world. Everybody knows who Mario is and who Link is. Of course, some people might call him Zelda, but we all know he's Link. You have Metroid. You are one of the top companies of all time. Everybody knows who Nintendo is. But yet, for some reason, you are making incredibly bad decisions. This is the kind of decisions where I've already decided not to play my Switch, but now I don't want to sign up for your online service. I don't play the thing already, and now your online service is not going to do what you said you're going to do. So now my Switch is going to be even more of a paperweight. Help me out here, Nintendo. Guys, you need to fix this fundamental flaw. Just stop for a second. Continue porting everything over. That's perfectly fine. But you're going to start to see that a lot of your customer base may start to wane from using your systems more and more if they can't get the most basic services on their system. I mean, I've already seen videos where people said they lost hundreds of hours of their game time, and they're still playing the Switch. I don't get it. It would take me one time, folks. If I dedicated hundreds of hours to a game and I lost all that data because of this, nope, I'm done. Hell, the only reason that I even tolerated the Xbox 360 and their whole craziness with the Red Ring of Death was the first time it happened within 30 days. I just took it back to Target and exchanged it. And then the second time it happened, I mailed it to Microsoft, and they sent me a refurbished one back. But all it took was to plug it back in, put in my username, and boom, I had all my stuff back. A relatively minor inconvenience. And I had no games on there that required hundreds of hours of gameplay, but I did have a lot of game time on there. But Nintendo, you're going to sit here and tell me that after I spend hundreds of hours of playing games on your system, and if something happens to it, I lose it all? I don't think so. I can dedicate my game time somewhere else. Anyway, I've gone on long enough about this. Tell me your thoughts on this Nintendo Online craziness. Post it in the comments below. I would like to hear what you have to say. Are you signing up for it? Do you have a Switch? Is this a deal breaker to buying a Switch? Let me know. And I'll talk to you guys later. And in the meantime, peace.